We just left Provo, Turks and Caicos, Providenciales, I think is how you say it. Been here a month, so we are ready to get off that flippin' dock.
After a full month in Provo, it was finally time to untie the lines and point the bow towards Grand Turk and Salt Cay. What should have been a simple cruise turned into a late arrival over coral reefs, and a rolly anchorage that basically demands we put out the flopper stoppers so we can actually function in the galley. For the payoff? We dive straight off the back of our boat into the Grand Turk wall, where it drops from 25 feet to thousands in seconds. First, we had to swap out a damaged dinghy prop, and then we made a last-minute pivot when Salt Cay didn't feel like the smart move. If we haven't met before, I'm Jen, and this is Dave. We're a Colorado couple who traded snow boots for scuba fins and now live aboard our Nordhavn 55. So welcome, and don't forget to hit that like button and smash subscribe so you can follow right along our journey.
We're headed towards Salt Cay, probably go past Grand Turk. I don't know if we'll stop and anchor there or not. We got a little bit of a late start because our Starlink stopped working. And we have a backup. I'll let Dave talk about that, but yeah, we can't really go anywhere without our Starlink or some kind of cell phone coverage because it's working. Anyways, we're on our way, trying to navigate this coral reefs over here. I'll show you the breakers in a minute. You can see over here where the water's hitting that reef. We have to go through the Columbus Passage, or also known as the Turks Passage, which I'm going to show you on the map. Provo is up here. Okay, so we're coming around and have to go through this passage right here. There's Grand Turks, and then Salt Cay is right here. But the northern Atlantic humpbacks come through this passage. They have to funnel to go over to Silver Banks over in Dominican Republic. And there are a couple of other shallow banks there too, where they calve and mate and feed their young. So we're hoping to see, because the migration happens between January and December and April, and we're going to be here in prime spot. They've already had a ton of whale sightings down there, so we're hoping, and that's the reason we're going down here, is to see the whales and maybe hit a dive spot or two, because the wall is supposed to be amazing. So we have about 5-foot seas at 10 seconds, 11 seconds. So there are these really huge rolls. We're starting to get a little bit of whitecaps on them, but it's just this constant roll. We've had some water over the bow, but it's a little annoying. My stomach's starting to get a little upset, so I got my little ginger chews. It helps a little bit for a minute. Well, I'm still inside.
Since we arrived so late and barely got the anchor down before dark, we were pleasantly surprised to wake up to this incredible view.
It's pizza day. Gonna make some pizza crusts before we go play. Now we just put it in the engine room.
The engine room was still warm, so it was the perfect place to let the dough proof.
Good morning from Grand Turk, Turks and Caicos. We are right off of Cockburn Town, and not a bad place. You can almost see the balls right over there by the sailboat. There's 4 or 5 dive balls. So we are gonna get the dive gear out right now. But first, we gotta get some flopper stoppers out. So here's how our day went yesterday. We left Provo from Blue Haven Marina, and it was going to be about a 10-hour cruise over here, and we wanted to leave in light with some daylight out of Blue Haven, because there are some tricky areas. There's some coral heads, and it's just better to see when you're not too familiar with the area. So we waited till first light, 6:20, sunlight, sunrise 6:30. We were all ready to go. Noticed that our Wi-Fi was out. That might sound a little prima donna to some, that you have to have Wi-Fi to go sailing, but for us to afford this lifestyle, one of us still needs to occasionally do that work thing. So we took about an extra hour or so for me to figure out Starlink, and finally got it up and running again. And then it was 7:30, which put us here right at sunset. Now, the problem with that is coral. You can't see it. A lot of different coral heads throughout here. So we got in right at 5:15, which was pushing it with the light. 3 drops to the anchor. 3. I could see it hit sand. I could look straight down and see it hit the sand, but it was sand on top of shale, sand on top of rock, so it wasn't digging in. So we had to try it 3 times. Finally, the 3rd time, dug in okay. Wasn't great, and we're gonna go dive that today to make sure it's set properly. But here's the good part. There's land. Winds are out of the east. We're facing east. Waves are out of the east. And behind us is absolutely nothing. There's no boats. And that is 7,000 feet of water about 100 yards behind our boat. So Grand Turk has this huge drop off. It goes from 25 feet right here. Big giant wall, 7,000 feet. Because we got in late last night, as soon as we dropped the anchor the 3rd time, it was dark. I was tired. Jen was tired. We should have put the flopper stoppers out. We're facing into the wind and the waves, but we've got a rolling here, a surge, and it's rolling us back and forth all night long. Definitely should have put out the flopper stoppers, but we're too lazy. So this morning, Jen's like, you got to put the flopper stoppers out. So that's what we're going to do now. There's our flopper stopper pole, one on each side. We'll get out the garbage can, as I call it, later. But we've got 4 lines and they're all marked. So we have a halyard, a flopper, a retrieval, and a 4-guy. Yeah, so all 4 of those ropes, and they connect to these 4 right here.
Oh, yeah.
So the flip one is for the flopper. So that goes down, and then you got the 4-guy that goes up front. Halyard goes up to the stack, and then the retrieval, so I can pull it back over this way. So,
got it.
Well, we're going to start attaching these ropes to the boat. All right, so this is where I need your help.
Okay.
If you're curious of the mechanics of the flopper stopper, basically the long arm tucks up against the wall on both sides of the boat. At the end, it's a swivel with 4 connections. One goes straight down to the flopper. The other is a 4-guy that leads and connects to the bow. The top one goes all the way up, I don't know if I can see it from this angle, up there to the mast. And then finally you have the retrieval line. I just tie that off to the back cleat back there. So as far as the flopper stoppers doing their job, yeah, big difference. We are getting ready to go diving. First we gotta fill some tanks. I forgot, I thought 2 of them, I thought they were all 4 full, but only 2 of them were. So, it's a little loud back here, but I want to show you the setup. First, if you notice, I get all the work, get all the stuff out and work, and Jen, yeah, she starts floating in the water already. But, it's a little loud, apologize for that. So we've got 4 tanks, and then underneath the stairs, it's a nice setup.
What are we doing?
Diving.
We gotta go diving, go see some
We're gonna
fish.
go see some fishies.
I jumped in the water and just kind of swam. Might be hard for you to see the dark spots in the water over here, but they're just lines of coral reefs. Tons of fish down here. It's like, I'm so excited to go for a dive, but the wall drops
We gotta figure out weights.
pretty close. Yeah, I'll put our weights on. I'm charging up our watches, so we gotta go get our dive computers. We haven't dove in a while, so especially off the back of our boat. Last time we did it, it was in the Bahamas. We tied up to a shipwreck. That was actually really interesting.
With a 2100 psi fill, we plan a very conservative dive going 65 feet for no longer than 35 minutes max. This gives us enough gas for comfortable ascent and the necessary safety stop with 500 psi left in our tanks. Of course, I always come up with about 300 psi more than Dave does. Anytime we have our tanks on, we always do a thorough check on the bottom of the boat.
Right off our boat is about 25 foot deep, 20 foot deep. And there's scattered coral heads throughout, lots of fish. Telling them about our dive. Wasn't it cool? It was nice for a first one. But look at this water. Pristine. Headed out for dive number 2. We just dove over there where all those people are hooked up to the balls. The wall was flippin' fantastic. We just swam right off our boat. There's a cable that runs that we noticed, or an old anchor line that runs to the wall. So that was kind of our guide back to the boat. So we didn't have to do a lot of navigation stuff. Got to the wall, turned right, went over there, and we hit what's called the library, and it was all these like caverns and caves, and just it's beautiful. You look over to your left and it's solid blue, and you look over to your right and there's just a crud ton of fish everywhere. It's amazing. Look, there's a rainbow right there. A rainbow. It's not even raining. Actually, it did rain. We were on our dive. Couldn't figure out why everything looked so dark. It was because the sun wasn't out, because there was a rain cloud over our boat. Everything got soaked, but that's okay. She needed a good wash. Right, Dave?
Yeah.
All right, he's up to something.
Here, I'll take it over here.
What are you doing?
Well, someone, I'm not going to name names, but somebody drove our dinghy into a very shallow area with soft sand and chewed it all up.
Oh my gosh.
So,
that's why our dinghy doesn't
That's no
sound
bueno. Right. But luckily, we're good boat owners and
Yes.
have spares of everything.
Oh.
So I'll just
Well,
put
is
on
that the
spare.
only spare? Because it's only month 1 and we have like 5 to go.
This is a spare that we're putting on, and then father-in-law Larry is going to smuggle one in. He's going to mule one into Georgetown next month. So
that's my dad. They're coming in.
So I don't know.
Coming in a couple weeks.
This is this prop has approximately 25 hours on it.
Oh my gosh.
It looks like a good 25-hour prop.
It does, but I don't understand. I do not remember ever hitting anything. It was always like soft sand.
Yes, soft sand, no rocks at all.
It could have been a chain or like, it wasn't coral head, I know that, but I don't know.
Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, that's what Dave's doing. We're just starting up the engines. We are headed to Salt Cay from Grand Turk, which is just south. That away. We're headed out. This is like 9 feet deep, and this is 1,000-ish. Crazy how it drops off like that. We're driving from the fly bridge because it's beautiful. We have the wind behind us and falling seas, so it's really nice and calm up there. But we can see just a crud ton of sargassum. So I'll show you guys. Sometimes we get this like huge, I don't want to call them islands because they look like little islands. There's so much. These are kind of spotty, but plastic and trash sitting on it. Change of plans. Not going to Salt Cay. We were over there trying to throw our anchor, and it's beautiful. However, we have about I want to say a 20-knot wind coming from the east, and the swell wrapping around that island was, you can't see it, I'd show you, just like 3-foot swells. It was not going to be comfortable. So we are headed over to Big Sand Cay. So we're not going to dive here. I'm a little disappointed about that, but we'll have way more protection, and I think we'll be a lot more comfortable at Big Sand Cay. So that's where we're headed.
There's no video of me just pushing buttons.
Dave just likes to mess with stuff, but our depth isn't showing up on our Bruno, so we haven't pulled up on our Garmin up here.
If you made it this far, thanks so much. Hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you the next time somewhere offshore.